The best time of your life is not tomorrow, not in some distant future, but right now. Too often we search for peace outside of ourselves, in success, in recognition, in possessions, forgetting that the true sanctuary lies within. The secret key to inner peace is already inside you, hidden in the most natural and authentic part of your being. This hidden treasure is your energy, the quiet strength, the ability to receive, to nurture, to flow with life instead of fighting against it. It is the force that connects you to harmony, creativity, and deep self-acceptance. When you honor this energy, you begin to live not in resistance, but in alignment. You start to realize that peace is not something you chase, it is something you allow. The world often tells us to push harder, to compete, to always be in control. But real freedom is found when you let go of control and embrace the rhythm of life as it comes. It is in softness, not struggle, that you uncover the power to heal your heart and calm your mind. Inner peace is not about escaping challenges, it is about meeting them with grace. It is about listening to your intuition, moving with wisdom, and trusting that life is guiding you exactly where you need to be. When you embody this energy, you stop living in fear of what you cannot control and start living in gratitude for what you already have. Inner peace is found in the present moment, not in the future. This truth is simple, yet it is one of the hardest lessons for the human mind to accept. We are conditioned to believe that peace will come once we reach a certain point in life, once we earn more, achieve more, or become someone better than who we are today. The future becomes the stage where we believe happiness and tranquility will finally reveal themselves. Yet the future never truly arrives. It is always a horizon we chase, a shadow that moves as we move. The present is the only place where life is happening, and it is the only place where peace can exist. The human mind loves to wander. It runs back to the past, carrying old regrets, and it leaps forward into the future, painting pictures of what may or may not happen. When we are lost in this endless cycle, we miss the life that is right in front of us. We miss the soft beauty of this very moment, the sound of our breath, the rhythm of our heartbeat, the quiet space in which everything unfolds. Inner peace is not something we have to go out and search for. It is already here, hidden beneath the noise of our restless thoughts. When you place all your attention on the future, you create conditions for peace that are impossible to meet. You tell yourself that peace will come when you are wealthier, when you are healthier, when you have the perfect partner, when all the pieces of your life finally fall into place. But every time you reach one milestone, the mind quickly creates another condition. It says, not yet, just a little more, just one more achievement, one more possession, one more answer. This endless pursuit keeps you trapped in dissatisfaction because peace is always somewhere else, somewhere out of reach. The present moment, however, asks for nothing. It does not require perfection. It does not demand that your life be flawless. It simply offers itself to you as it is, messy, unpredictable, sometimes painful, but always alive. When you allow yourself to step into this moment fully, you discover that peace is not the absence of problems, but the presence of awareness. You realize that even in the middle of chaos, you can find stillness by grounding yourself in the now. Inner peace begins with presence. Think about the times when you have truly felt calm and connected. Maybe it was while watching the sunrise, or listening to music that touched your soul, or sharing laughter with someone you love. In those moments, you were not thinking about tomorrow or replaying yesterday. You were here. Time seemed to dissolve, and what remained was the pure experience of being alive. That is the essence of peace, not in escaping reality, but in fully meeting it without resistance. The tragedy is that most people postpone their peace. They believe life is a waiting room, and peace will be given once their name is called, once they finally arrive at the future they dream about. But life does not wait, and the present does not pause for you. Every second you spend waiting for peace in the future is a second of peace you could have lived right now. The truth is, there will never be a perfect time to be at peace, because peace does not depend on circumstances. It depends on your willingness to be present. When you learn to bring yourself back to the now, something shifts inside you. The noise quiets. The tension softens. You start to notice things that were invisible before. The way the light touches the room, the way your lungs fill with air, the way your body carries you faithfully through the day. These small, simple observations are not insignificant. They are doorways into peace, reminders that life is unfolding here and now, and you do not need to run anywhere to find it. The future will always carry uncertainty. It may bring joy, it may bring sorrow, but it is never fully under your control. If you tie your peace to the future, you tie it to something fragile, something that can be taken away. But if you anchor your peace in the present moment, no one can steal it from you. The world around you may change, circumstances may rise and fall, but the now remains steady, always accessible, always offering itself to you. It is not easy to stay present. The mind resists it because the mind feeds on fear of the future and memories of the past. But with practice, presence becomes a habit. Breathing deeply, noticing sensations in your body, observing your thoughts without judgment. These are ways to return to now. And the more you practice, the more you realize that inner peace is not a destination. It is not waiting for you in a distant tomorrow. It is here right now, in this breath, in this heartbeat, in this moment. When you live in the present, life becomes richer. Even the simplest actions, drinking water, walking outside, feeling the wind, become profound experiences. Gratitude naturally arises because you are no longer blind to what you already have. The mind says, I will be grateful when I get what I want. But the heart says, I am grateful now because I see what is already here. This gratitude is the soil in which peace grows, a constant reminder that you do not need to wait to be fulfilled. To find inner peace, stop chasing the future and start embracing the present. This moment is enough. You are enough. As it is right now is enough. The best time of your life is not waiting for you somewhere ahead. It is happening in this exact moment. And if you pay attention, you will discover the secret you have been searching for has been within your reach all along. Your natural energy holds the key to balance and harmony, yet so many people search for it outside themselves. We live in a world where energy is often forced, manipulated, or suppressed, where people try to fit themselves into molds that were never meant for them. The truth is that balance is not something you construct from the outside in, it is something that flows from the inside out. Your natural energy is already designed to bring you into alignment, but only if you learn to trust it, honor it, and allow it to guide you. Think about the times when you have felt most at ease with yourself. It wasn't when you were pretending to be someone else, and it wasn't when you were chasing approval from others. It was when you were being your most authentic self, when you were relaxed, when you allowed your energy to flow without resistance. That is where balance begins, not in perfection, but in authenticity. The moment you stop fighting who you are and start embracing the unique rhythm of your being, you enter into harmony with life. Natural energy is not about constant activity. It is about flow. Sometimes it expresses itself in movement, creativity, and outward action. Other times it asks for stillness, rest, and reflection. The problem is that society often celebrates only one side of this spectrum, the drive, the hustle, the push forward at all costs. Yet ignoring the softer, quieter energy within you creates imbalance, exhaustion, and disconnection. Just as day needs night and the ocean needs the shore, your life needs both strength and softness, both motion and stillness. When you learn to listen to the natural cycles within you, you discover that balance is not about rigid control, but about honoring the natural ebb and flow of your energy. There is great wisdom in your body and mind that many people overlook. Every time you ignore your fatigue, every time you silence your intuition, every time you push yourself when your energy is calling for rest, you create inner conflict. That conflict grows into stress, anxiety, and imbalance. But when you pause and pay attention, when you listen to what your natural energy is telling you, you begin to live in harmony. Sometimes it may guide you to move forward boldly, to create, to speak, to build. Other times it may ask you to slow down, to breathe, to nurture, to simply be. Trusting this inner rhythm is how you unlock balance. Harmony is not something you chase, it is something you align with. Imagine a musical instrument. When it is in tune, the music flows beautifully without effort. But when it is out of tune, no matter how skillfully it is played, the sound is harsh and unbalanced. Your natural energy is the same. When you fight against it, you create noise and disharmony in your life. But when you allow yourself to be in tune with it, everything flows more smoothly. Your decisions feel clearer, your relationships feel lighter, and even challenges become easier to face because you are no longer at war with yourself. The challenge for many is that they have been taught to distrust their natural energy. From childhood, many are told to be different, to behave in ways that don't feel true, to suppress their emotions, to hide their instincts. Over time, they lose connection to the very energy that was meant to guide them. Yet, no matter how buried it may feel, this energy never disappears. It waits patiently for you to return to it, to remember who you are beneath the expectations and the noise of the world. Reconnecting with it is the path to balance because it brings you back into harmony with your true self. One of the most powerful ways to reconnect with your natural energy is to cultivate awareness of how you feel in different situations. Notice where your energy rises and where it drains. Notice the people, places, and activities that make you feel alive, and notice notice the ones that leave you heavy and disconnected. These are not random experiences, they are messages from your natural energy showing you the path toward balance. The more you listen, the clearer the messages become, and the easier it is to shape your life in alignment with what truly sustains you. When you honor your natural energy, you also begin to see that harmony does not mean the absence of struggle. Life will always bring challenges, but those challenges feel different when you are aligned with your energy. Instead of breaking you, they shape you. Instead of exhausting you, they teach you. You learn to meet difficulties without losing yourself, without being torn apart by conflict, because your energy is steady, grounded, and balanced. You no longer fight against the natural rhythm of life, but move with it, trusting that each season, whether it is a season of growth or a season of rest, serves a purpose. Your natural energy is your compass. It tells you when to go forward, when to pause, when to create, when to let go. But like any compass, it can only guide you if you pay attention. Too often people ignore this compass and end up lost, wandering in directions that feel empty and unfulfilling. The moment you return to your energy and then let it guide you, the path becomes clearer and harmony returns. It does not mean life will be free of obstacles, but it does mean you will move through them with balance, strength, and peace. So the key is not to try to force yourself into balance, but to return to what is already within you. Trust the wisdom of your natural energy. Let it guide your actions, your choices, your relationships. Allow yourself to flow with its rhythm instead of fighting against it. When you do this, you will discover that balance is not something you achieve once and for all. It is something you live moment by moment by staying connected to the energy that is uniquely yours. And in that connection, harmony is not just possible, it is inevitable. Peace comes from alignment, not control. Yet most people spend their lives chasing control. They believe if they can manage every detail, predict every outcome, and bend life to their will, they will finally feel safe and at peace. But control is an illusion, a fragile shield that cracks the moment something unexpected happens. True peace does not come from holding life tightly in your hands. It comes from aligning yourself with the natural flow of life, with your values, your inner truth, and the rhythm of existence itself. Alignment brings steadiness, while control only breeds tension. When you live in pursuit of control, you are constantly on edge. You try to manage people's opinions, to predict the future, to avoid failure at any cost. Every moment becomes a battle, not against the world, but against reality itself. And reality always wins, because no matter how much control you think you have, life will always remind you that it cannot be contained. A plan will fall apart, a person will disappoint you, a circumstance will change without warning. If your peace is tied to control, it will vanish the moment control slips from your grasp. But when your peace comes from alignment, no external event has the power to take it away. Alignment is about living in harmony with what is true. It means your thoughts, your actions, and your inner values are all moving in the same direction. There is no split between who you are inside and how you show up in the world. That is where peace is born, not from perfection, not from everything going your way, but from the deep knowing that you are living authentically and honestly in each moment. Alignment frees you from the exhausting task of pretending, because there is no longer a gap between your inner truth and your outer life. Control is heavy, it demands constant vigilance, it keeps you tense, rigid, and fearful of losing your grip. Alignment, on the other hand, feels light. It allows you to move with ease, to flow with change, because you are rooted in something deeper than circumstances. When you are aligned, challenges still arise, but they do not destroy your peace. You face them with clarity instead of panic, because you know you are moving in the direction of your truth. Peace through control is conditional. It depends on everything going according to plan. Peace through alignment is unconditional. It remains even when the plan changes, even when the unexpected happens, because your peace is not attached to outcomes. It is anchored in your being. It is the difference between building a house on shifting sand and building it on solid rock. One crumbles with every wave. The other stands steady no matter the storm. Many people confuse alignment with passivity, as if aligning with life means giving up, surrendering to fate, or refusing to act. But alignment is not weakness. It is strength. It does not mean you stop making choices or taking action. It means you act from a place of clarity, authenticity, and trust. You still move forward, but you no longer fight against the current of life. You move with it. You trust the rhythm of the river instead of exhausting yourself trying to swim upstream. Think about times when you felt deeply at peace. Maybe you were creating something you love. Maybe you were having an honest conversation. Maybe you were sitting in nature feeling connected to something greater than yourself. In those moments, you were not trying to control anything. You were simply aligned with your heart, with your surroundings, with the truth of the moment. That is the essence of peace. It is not forced. It is not earned by tightening your grip. It arises naturally when you live in harmony with what is real. The more you seek control, the more restless you become. You overthink, you overanalyze, you rehearse every possible outcome. And yet, all this effort rarely changes anything. Control is an endless chase and it leaves you exhausted. Alignment, however, is effortless. It does not require endless mental battles. It asks only for honesty with yourself. Are you living in a way that reflects your truth? Are you saying yes when you mean yes and no when you mean no? Are you following the path that feels authentic to you, or are you bending yourself to fit someone else's expectations? When you are aligned, peace naturally follows because you are no longer betraying yourself. One of the greatest sources of suffering is the belief that peace will come when we control others, when people behave the way we want them to, when circumstances align with our desires, when the world finally gives us what we think we deserve. But people will always be unpredictable, circumstances will always change, and the world will not bend to satisfy every wish. The moment you release the need to control and instead focus on aligning yourself with your own truth, you reclaim your power. You stop wasting energy trying to control what you cannot, and you redirect that energy toward living in integrity with who you are. Peace from control is fragile because it depends on everything outside of you. Peace from alignment is unshakable because it depends only on what is within you. When you are aligned, even if life throws chaos your way, you remain steady. Even if someone misunderstands you, you remain calm because you know you are living honestly. Even if plans change, you adapt without losing yourself because your peace does not come from the plan, it comes from alignment with your deepest truth. To align is to trust, to allow, to live in harmony with yourself and the flow of life. It does not mean life will be free of storms, but it does mean you will no longer drown in them. You will move through them with grace, knowing that peace is not found in controlling the waves, but in learning how to ride them. And when you live this way, you discover a peace that no amount of control could ever give you, a peace that is steady, expansive, and always present, no matter what life brings. Softness and grace can be more powerful than force. Though in a world that glorifies strength, control, and domination, this truth often goes unnoticed. We are taught from a young age to push harder, to fight for what we want, to prove ourselves through effort and resistance. But there is a quiet power that does not shout, does not struggle, and does not demand attention, yet it shapes the world more profoundly than brute force ever could. This power is found in softness, in the ability to bend without breaking, to respond with patience instead of aggression, to meet life not with fists clenched but with open hands. Force is immediate. It creates impact, but it often leaves behind scars. When we rely only on force, whether in our relationships, our ambitions, or even in our inner struggles, we create tension. Force demands obedience, but obedience born out of fear is fragile and temporary. Grace, on the other hand, is lasting. It invites rather than compels. It heals instead of wounds. It builds trust rather than resistance. That is why softness, though underestimated, carries within it a strength that endures long after the noise of force has faded. Nature itself reflects this truth. Consider water, soft, yielding, formless. It does not resist, yet it shapes mountains and carves valleys. It finds its way through stone not by striking hard, but by flowing persistently. Over time, what appears weak becomes unstoppable. Or consider the wind, gentle, invisible, yet capable of smoothing rough edges and carrying seeds that give birth to forests. These forces are not loud or aggressive, but their power is undeniable. In the same way, when we cultivate softness and grace in our lives, we tap into a power that may not always be visible at first, but is transformative and far-reaching. Softness is not weakness. It takes tremendous strength to remain gentle in a world that pushes you to be hard. It takes courage to respond with kindness when others meet you with hostility. It takes wisdom to remain calm when everything around you tempts you to react with anger. Force is easy. Anyone can raise their voice, demand control, or impose their will. But to embody grace, to choose patience, to act from compassion, to remain centered in the face of pressure, this requires depth of character and inner strength. In human relationships, the difference between force and softness becomes clear. Force may win an argument, but it rarely wins hearts. It may silence someone temporarily, but it leaves resentment lingering beneath the surface. Softness, however, invites connection. It allows space for understanding, for listening, for genuine exchange. When you meet someone with grace instead of force, you create an atmosphere where trust can grow. People do not feel defeated, they feel respected. And respect, once earned, has a far greater impact than any victory won through force. Even within ourselves, we often resort to force. We push ourselves to work harder, to ignore our limits, to silence our emotions, believing that sheer willpower will carry us forward. But this constant inner battle drains us. The more we force, the more disconnected we become from our true selves. Softness with ourselves, listening to our needs, giving ourselves rest, treating our mistakes with compassion, leads to far greater growth. When we are gentle with ourselves, we allow healing. We open space for creativity and renewal. Force tries to dominate the self, grace nurtures it. And what is nurtured flourishes in ways that control never could. There is also a timeless dignity in grace. Force often diminishes both the one who uses it and the one it is used against, but grace elevates. When you respond to insult without anger, you reveal strength that cannot be touched. When you choose forgiveness instead of revenge, you free yourself from chains that force only tightens. When you act with humility instead of arrogance, you display a power that no amount of dominance can replicate. Grace transforms conflict into understanding and pain into wisdom. Softness is powerful because it adapts. Force resists change and crumbles when it meets something stronger. But softness bends, moves, and transforms. It is resilient because it does not cling to rigidity. Like a tree that sways with the wind instead of snapping, softness allows you to survive life's storms. This adaptability is one of the deepest sources of strength, because it ensures that no matter what happens, you can continue forward without losing yourself. History is filled with examples of softness and grace triumphing over force. Leaders who ruled through fear may have gained temporary control, but their power eventually collapsed. Those who led with wisdom, compassion, and vision, however, left legacies that endured. A gentle word has started revolutions of the heart. A patient act of kindness has healed wounds that no law or command could mend. Time and again, grace has proven to be a force far greater than brute strength. In daily life, the choice between force and softness appears in small moments. When you are frustrated with someone, do you raise your voice or do you listen? When plans fall apart, do you resist angrily or do you adapt gracefully? When you make mistakes, do you punish yourself or do you offer patience? These choices may seem small, but they shape the quality of your life. Each act of softness deepens your inner peace. Each act of grace builds strength that cannot be shaken. The paradox is that those who embody softness and grace often appear vulnerable, yet they are the most unbreakable. Their power does not lie in control but in influence, not in domination but in inspiration. They lead not by force but by example, and their impact endures because it is rooted in authenticity and truth. To live with grace is to live in harmony with yourself and with others. To recognize that gentleness is not the absence of strength, but the highest expression of it. Softness and grace are quiet powers, but they are powers that move the world. They heal wounds that force creates. They open doors that force slams shut. They build bridges that force burns down. When you choose softness, you choose a path of resilience, wisdom, and true strength. And though the world may not always recognize it immediately, in time it becomes clear that what appears soft is often the most powerful force of all.